Beloved Crafty Hope, and welcome. It is time for my mixed media prompt project for week 19. This is part of my hashtag Crafty Hope prompts. Each week I draw 3 prompts and alter a playing card that is with those 3 prompts to help me build up a prompt deck. So this was a playing card that I drew the prompts Asemic writing, ticket, and stitch. And so I've added those. They're really hard to see. It's not the best, but this is a beautiful little card on the other side that also uses those prompts. I will later use this prompt deck for other things, but for now I'm taking those 3 prompts, and like I said, on Monday I draw my prompts and make my card, and on Wednesday I use those same prompts to do another project. This varies every week what that project is. The cards every Monday, a different project every Saturday. Just so you know, if you want to play along, you can use the same prompts I draw each week, or I've got the full list of 156 prompts, which means 3 a week for 52 weeks. And you can draw your own and make whatever you want. It can be your own prompt deck, or just use it for art journaling or tags or bookmarks or whatever you want to do. This week, I think I'm just going to work in my little junk journal. I'm still trying to finish it up. So I thought this would be fun to do. I've done a couple other things lately, so I thought, yeah, it's time for a junk journal page. So, like I said, the prompts for week 19 are Asemic writing, ticket, and stitch. So what I have gathered for Asemic writing, I think I really want to use some gold acrylic ink. There's not much in here, if I can even get it open. And try to maybe do some Asemic writing with a dip pen. I have a couple of glass dip pens. This one is actually just from the Dollar Tree that I got ages ago. I have a more expensive one somewhere if this isn't working. So I've got that for my Asemic writing, and all Asemic writing is like a scribbly type writing that you can't really read, that just kind of adds texture to your work. For ticket, again, you can use any kind of anything. I have these skee ball point tickets here that I am going to use. I had a whole stack of them on Monday's video. You'll see that. And I pulled these out, deciding this is part of my color palette will be this like blue, green, and some gold. So that's my ticket. And then for stitch, trying to keep in that, I have pulled out some gold thread, or it's probably floss, I don't know what you call it. It's DMC brand. And then a brown and a black embroidery floss. And we'll see. I might use those. I might have to dip in and get something else. So we'll see. That is what I have pulled out so far for this week, for this project. And I'm going to get to it. This is, like I said, just my little junk journal that I created, and I'm trying to finish up. And I'm going to do a full spread, I think. So let's do it. First things first, y'all, I have to apologize for that super squeakiness that y'all might have been hearing. My craft chair apparently needs some WD-40, so I will try to get on that. If that drove you crazy, I am so sorry. I didn't even realize it. I either need to be still or get that oiled up. So with that said, the first thing I'm doing, of course, is coming in with some collage. I am going ahead and going with some larger pieces. I really just want to cover up the base cut pages that are there, make it feel a little more cohesive. I'm making sure that some of those papers that I'm putting down go over like the center so it bleeds into the next page. And really, this is just to help protect the base pages in there, those junky pages. And I know it's kind of defeating the purpose of the junk journal that I'm not using the pages as they are, but that's okay. This is my junk journal. I can use it any way I want. So I've got my Oohoo glue stick to stick these down, and it's working beautifully. And I am taking the suggestions of both Dina and Rose, who have said I need to start using some of those offcuts to layer in my pages to get additional texture. And yeah, they're right. They are absolutely right. So I'm doing that. I think here in just a second, I'm going to, that part that's overlapping, that was going over the page, I'm cutting off, and I'm going to stick it back in my journal. So yeah, Now, I did like the texture over on that left side, but it kind of messed with how the page before it, the spread before it looked, and I didn't want that. So that's why I cut it off. Now, the idea of adding resist to things has been playing on my mind. I kind of want to try it with those alcohol sprays that I used last week. And I haven't done it yet, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try a resist in here now since I've been thinking about it. And I used just a white oil pastel. You could also use a white crayon or like one of those clear crayons that come in the Easter egg die kits. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Those are some different resists that y'all could try just as well, or even some masking fluid maybe if you've got that. But I scribbled around with that white oil pastel and then activated some instant coffee, y'all. You know, it's one of my favorite things. And you can see I just put some down on the page, trying to pick up some of the torn edges of my collage, and then splattered a little bit in the corners as well. So I'm going to try that and get that yummy coffee textured look. Oh, it's so good. And on top of that is where I'm going to try to do my Asemic writing. So I'm adding some water to that acrylic ink because it is super glumpy. And I probably should have added more water because, y'all, this stuff is, I am going to seriously struggle with these dip pens and writing with it. Oh, and y'all, I got that acrylic ink everywhere. It's it's everywhere. It got all over my desk, on my hands. Yeah. So I'm going to pick it up here with this piece of what I think is deli paper. And I've got that cheap glass dip pen from the Dollar Tree, and I start trying to work with it, adding more ink. And I think that acrylic ink is just not quite thin enough. So I may try that another time and thin it down a bit more, but I was getting ink on there, but not like the way I thought I would. So I cleaned that pen off. I'm going to try my more expensive Amazon bought dip pen and see if it works. And no, it's not going to really do any better. And it didn't dawn on me until while I was going through the editing of this that maybe that acrylic ink was still just too thick to deal with, to be used in a dip pen. So when see me struggling with this a little bit, so I'll clean it off too. And finally, what I end up using is a bamboo pen. This bamboo pen, and it does okay, but I'm just having to repeatedly dip it. Basically, just dip it and write a little bit, and just like I would with a paintbrush. And so I probably should have just used a paintbrush and done this, but it's fine. It's totally fine. Everything's fine, y'all. No. So I get this down. It kind of looks like Asemic writing, I suppose. It was my best attempt. So I'll get all of this down, and I think I'm going to go ahead and dry this when I get to the end of it, just to make sure that I don't smear it too much. And don't worry, that acrylic ink that's in that palette, I end up, look, see that it got everywhere. It's all over my hands. Ugh. But that acrylic, I ended up putting it on a scrap paper that I can use on something later. All right, so I'm going to get that dry, and I've got those touches of gold just like I wanted, so that's fine. But I felt like I needed a little bit more movement or something like that. So I think I'm going to I'm going to mess around with that strip of tickets real quick. And I have an idea of what I'm going to do, but I know some of the marks and stuff that were in there were bothering me, so I grabbed this is a cheap mechanical pencil, and I am adding some scribbles. You could consider this maybe some Asemic writing too, but really it's just some scribbles I'm putting in there to get a couple of darker marks on there, I suppose. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick down my tickets. I realize that they are about the same length as my whole spread there, and that the center of them hit the center of my journal page, and it was kind of perfect. So I'll use that Oohoo glue stick and put it on the back of the tickets. Once I get it in there, they don't stick real great, so I'll have to futz with that and put some more glue down on the page itself. You'll see that in just a second. But I love that pop of that. I don't need, like that seafoamy green color, which is funny. You can see that page behind it. Y'all will get to, I haven't put that video up yet. I did record that. I was playing around and just doing a junk journal page, and I'll share that with y'all another time when I when I have some time to edit all that. For now, we're working on my, it's Seek, Gather, Create time and Crafty at Prompts time. So, yeah, we'll get to that other stuff later. All right, so I wanted some darkening up here and to kind of accentuate those tickets. So I took my Stabilo All pencil and just scribbled underneath the tickets. And I've got a really wet paintbrush that I am activating that Stabilo All. And I'm trying to get it to drip. It's not doing a great job, but I add a little bit of extra water as I'm doing it, and I'll end up like tapping my journal down to get them to drip. And as long as I got one drip on each of them, I was pretty happy with it. I think a couple of them I did drip a little bit more. So I'll let that drip, and then I'm going to turn the page upside down and do the same thing on the other side. Now the water and the Stabilo All did get on the bottom of the tickets, and I was okay with that. At first I was like, oh no, I messed them up, but I realized those tickets aren't actually going to be my focal. I'm just using them as a touch of color in here. And so that's fine if they got a little bit distorted with the water and the Stabilo. It's okay. It's art. If I don't like it, I'll figure something else out. So I'm doing the same kind of thing I did on the other side on the top this time. Yeah, and I love that added touch of grunge. Just it makes my day with the gold and the grunge. It's perfect. So I dipped into my stash of vintage photos and found this picture of this man and the woman. Now those tickets all say, what did they say? Jen and Paul, I think. And so I'm considering the Jen, because it's spelled Gin, is like Jenny. So I'm considering this is Jenny and Paul, and it is their amusement park or something along those lines. And that's why I went for a picture of two people, especially a man and a woman. That was just my kind of thought process to kind of make these things tie in together. And I had some alcohol ink dyed ribbon that my friend Terry sent me that I thought that color went really well with that seafoam green of the tickets. So I wanted to add it to one side of the picture, that longer side that's not torn, to give it more of an organic feel. And I'm not going to attach it, well, I am going to attach it with my stitching, but I am going to use a little bit of the Oohoo glue stick to go ahead and tack down the ribbon to make it less fiddly as I do it. Because if you saw my card this week, I should have tacked things down a little bit better before I did my stitching. Even though that card's super cute, things moved that I didn't want to move. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down, and I'm using, I think y'all saw that gold thread that I like. It is super phrase, y'all, super easy. So when you work with it, and it'll slip off your needle and you've got to stick it back on this. So if you work with this gold embroidery thread, know that it can be a booger. And I've decided I'm just going to do some stitches off on the side from where the picture begins over to where the end of the frame is onto the ribbon, and just do these little dash stitches, and they're going to be kind of random. Like I'm doing like a set of 3, and then 1, and then 2, and then 2, and then 1, and then 3, and then just really random kind of lines there. I'm going to speed this up super fast, but I want you to know that a lot of those I pre-punched where I wanted that first stitch, like right there. I pre-punched it so I knew where I wanted my next stitch to go when I was working from behind. So I love that motion of stitching, and y'all probably, I don't know, if you're getting tired of seeing me add stitching and stuff with my French knots and my little X's and those kind of things, I guess you can let me know, but I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. I do love it. If you saw my Seek, Gather, Create this week too, you saw that there was a ton of slow stitching. I didn't have that in the video. That was something I did off camera. And but I do love to just sit with a needle and thread. I think it must be something in, like, I don't know, maybe in my genes from like my great-great-grandmother or something. I have all of my great-grandmother's buttons and those kind of things, and so I'm sure they did a lot of stitching too. All right, so that I've gone all the way down that picture with my random stitches, and I'm just going to tie this off and try not to tangle that thread any more than I need to. and I'll clip it really close so that there's not a whole lot of that peeking out from behind. And to stick it down, I'm going to use matte gel medium because there's something about photos that they get, I don't know, there's some mediums or some adhesives that they just don't really like, but matte gel seems to do pretty good as long as you like weigh the picture down, because yeah, they want to move when you put wet stuff on the back of them. So I'm making sure I put plenty of that matte gel on it. And I've got a weight. If you have like a sack of rice or beans or something, you could probably use that as a weight. But I've got these weights I've picked up on some of my estate sale hauls. And then I wanted a sentiment, and I knew I kind of wanted it white to go with the white in the photo. So I found these snarky words from Tim Holtz, and this one says, "Why limit happy to an hour?" Which I thought worked great since this are tickets from an amusement park, and so that's kind of, like a happy place. So I did add some additional oohoo to make sure that stuck down really well, and I'll also bring in that Stabilo again. I'm not going to make it drip, but I just wanted to have that bit of grunge as well. And then it hit me while I dry this Stabilo that those tickets are standing out a bit more than I want them to, so I need to integrate them a little bit. So I've got a Sharpie paint pen in white that I'm basically going to what do you call it when you plunge it down and get some extra ink out of it and just splatter it around on. I didn't care if it got on the picture, I just didn't want it on my words. And I'm just splattering that to integrate that just a bit more. And that's going to be it for this junk journal spread. I don't know, it came together beautifully. I love the colors and the simplicity of it, and I hope you do too. If you are playing along with Crafty Hope prompts, please use that hashtag. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, if you like this, it would really help me out if you give me a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. All right, y'all. I will see y'all very soon with week 20's prompts. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.